the goal that Diaz scored, I feel like there's numerous factors here. I think Castagna gets beaten too easily.
Yeah.
But also, I can't work out. My thing is that I feel loath to criticise Burn because, and Drew said it perfectly on the quick take last night. They were like, if there's players in this team that have got credit in the bank, then he's the bank's biggest customer,
100%.
which is such a fair statement. But I think you can see from Burnt's reaction, if he knows he's upset about it, then probably there's justification as to, us saying that he could have done better.
It's a frustrating one because I think actually if the shot gets off normally, he's obviously going to his left already to try and deal with what looks like a strike across the goal. It comes off two players and then basically comes off Diaz again towards the goal, and he has to switch direction and shift his weight back the other way. I still think there is an element of probably could do better with it, but there's also that element of fortune that's gone against Fulham again. And look, people will say you make your own fortune, and Diaz does really well to get inside, to win the header, to stay on the ball. I don't think Tete loses that one-on-one. I think that's a frustrating thing that we look at. And you mentioned the kind of question marks around the lineup, and there wasn't many, as you say. That would have been one I would have looked at, especially given that Diaz has been excellent on that side, cutting in. That was probably where I would have looked to try and nullify Liverpool one-on-one, especially given that they got joy down that side at Anfield as well. Yes, it was when Darwin came on and things changed a little bit, but there was joy to be had. Yeah. I wondered if Tete might get the nod there just in terms of that one-on-one ability. But it's water under the bridge and everyone has 20/20 vision in hindsight. I think that Burnt's unlucky. I also think he could do better. Again, both things are true.
Yeah, no, it was one of those, and it was just it really, really was the sucker punch. There was almost a moment where I was saying like, but hang on, we just need to get this to extra time at this point. It'd gone from like we might win this. It's just like, we just needed to get one goal. But Fulham actually, it felt like after Liverpool's goal got progressively worse. It was such a body blow. I mean, It was just relentless. We just couldn't
get out.
It felt a bit like also the Chelsea game where we just couldn't get out. And it was just, they was just swarming us. It felt like there was 13 Liverpool players for much of that first half.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Liverpool press is exceptional and has been for some time. The energy and ability of that front three in order to get it out. And then actually you look at the way that Fulham pressed in the second half, there was an element of it as well with the kind of almost pressing with six. But it did feel like Liverpool had more of an outball in that they could go long to Darwin, who has that kind of ability to win and make it stick in the air. I thought Raul worked incredibly hard last night.
Yeah.
And I thought he was one of the brighter.
Most of his
He won a lot of the duels. He just didn't have anyone around him because Fulham were dropping deeper and deeper to try and get out of this Liverpool press. So it was tricky. Obviously, and again, it goes back to Liverpool are a very, very good side, well drilled, missing key players, yes, but with real quality to step into those positions as well. It's not like they're missing a key player and their backup is, I don't know, Rodrigo Muniz. They are looking at, bringing in players of real quality and youth products with high ceilings as well. So there's lots of different kind of elements to that. But it just got, as you say, progressively worse in the first half after the goal. And it felt like heads dropped, panic set in a little bit. It was like, okay, the game isn't over, but we concede again, it is.
Yeah.
And I think that was the prevailing sense on the pitch and in the stands. And it was just sort of head in hands moments quite a lot of the time. And that's never a great feeling.
Yeah, that was the kind of like the sickening part of it was once they went 1-0 up, you're like, okay, well, look, the game plan hasn't massively changed. Fulham still need 2 goals, obviously now just to take it to extra time. But it was just that sinking feeling of like, if they get one more, then this tie is dead. Like, it's not coming back.
Yeah.
I know that you can look back to Juventus and that was the scoreline that night, but I was like, in this scenario, it ain't happening.
No.
They didn't have Chiellini in goal, for one. Not Chiellini.
Clemente.
So close. I thought that second half, Fulham looked better and we had big opportunities. I think I hadn't realised at the time how big an opportunity that was for Andreas Pereira.
Yeah, I mean, it is a difficult angle. I will give him that. And look, there isn't much to give Andreas. We'll come on to him and the substitutions, I think, in a little while. But it is an opportunity. Actually, I think that there are a couple where you're like, oh, I'm not even sure. There's one that comes back across goal from Tosin where no one gets on the end of it. There's a second one, obviously, when he hits the post. there are opportunities that start to float around. And I think that belief starts to grow in the side. But equally, it comes a point where you're running out of time. And so, what do they say? Pressure and heat make diamonds. These are the moments where you're like, right, how do you perform when it's on, when this is the kind of the spell you have? And actually, I thought Fulham stood up. And I think that's something to be aware of. There were obviously these huge opportunities at both ends. And you look at that kind of exchange where Pereira hits the post and then Liverpool goes straight up the other end and it probably should score. And it's like, oh God, this game is now in that period where next goal means so much. And I said at the time, I was like, I think we're going to score. And then I think they're going to score straight away. And it's really going to hurt me. But that didn't happen. There was this kind of feeling that Fulham were growing into it. And so much of it was to do with Harry Wilson, because Wilson's introduction felt like the spark plug that reignited this Fulham team. And suddenly everyone got second wind. And I think that was what the nice bit about it was, because Willian looked dead in his feet about 50 minutes in. But in the 80th minute, he's herring around, making challenges on the edge of his own box. Suddenly, the wind that it gave, obviously the goal matters and obviously the situation matters. But Wilson's introduction, I think, sparked everybody else into life.
It could have come a bit earlier, I thought, Wilson's introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. And weirdly, I thought that when Wilson came on, I thought the move was to take Andreas off and either move Bobby in there or actually play Harry in the 10, which is my latest kind of thing I'm stuck on. I can't get over the idea that Wilson in the 10 might allow him to have the freedom that's got the best out of him. And we saw that last night. He was all over the place. He was left, right, through the middle, making those runs. And from the moment he came on, there was that first one that came over the top for him and he just failed to bring the ball down. They all felt like, you're like, oh, okay, Fulham have a threat in behind all of a sudden that wasn't there before. And it meant that Liverpool had to rethink a lot of the situations that were going on. Obviously, Wilson picks the ball up on the left-hand side for the goal that comes in and he beats a player and tucks it in and Diop scores. But that freedom that Wilson seemed to play with, because they were just like, well, do what you need to do, because no one else has anything about them at the moment. I think that works with him in the 10, especially with the Iwobi away. I think that opportunity needs to be given to him at some point, maybe this weekend.
Is Harry Wilson not entering the Adama Traore vortex? Not the fact that he doesn't exist. I mean that he's just becoming such a... He seems to be performing so well off the bench, and then you give him the chance to start and he seems to perform not as well.
Yeah, I mean, I look back to the Liverpool game where he did start.
Yeah.
And he was excellent. So there are obviously moments, and there have been games where he has been an excellent impact sub.
I mean, the Villa game was such a clear example. He changed that game.
Sure, but he came on at half-time at that game. So it did feel like there was more of an opportunity. I think Harry Wilson has done enough in his substitute cameos to suggest that he deserves a start now. Now, if that goes awry and it looks... But if Harry Wilson doesn't start at the weekend, I'd be incredibly surprised.
Well, I mean, also for the fact that we're going to need any fresh legs that we can get in this game. But
yeah, it just feels like I think there's an opportunity to play him in the 10, and I'm intrigued by it.
I mean, the goal was really well taken. I mean, I think Conor Bradley, I think we've got to hand it to him, was excellent, filling in over two legs. He looks like a real star in the making, but actually Wilson exposed him.
At that moment.
At that moment.
He was brilliant for Bolton, but actually that goal got scored, not that exact goal, but the one where they cut inside and it's someone who's changed plans from a winger that tends to be going outside or a fullback that's going round him all game, suddenly changes tack and comes inside him. There's no one covering the spaces. It's something we've seen before. But yeah, I like Conor Bradley.
I still, as long as I'm on this planet, won't understand Issa
Why
Diop.
he's there. What's he doing?
Issa Diop. What a finish.
I'm grateful that he's there. I mean, maybe he should get two. If you cock it in, does it count as 2 goals?
It was so good.
Yeah, it's a really good reaction body movement. Whether it's deliberate or not is probably a different question.
I think you just thought, just get something
on it. But yeah, it's a really good piece of manoeuvring the body to actually work it out. But yeah, I agree. No idea what he's doing there. Has he stayed up from the corner? It feels like an inordinately long time.
Yeah, there's been an awful long time
up from the corner before. But yeah, I'm glad he was there.
I feel like, though, it's the momentum afterwards. I was shocked to find out later that evening that goal had come in the 77th minute. I even said it wrong on the quick take last night. I thought it was in the 81st. No. And I was like, it's in the 70th.
I did look at the scoreboard when we scored.
There was enough time, and I felt like Fulham had a bit of momentum for a couple of minutes. Harry Wilson drew that save out of Kelleher, which really was just more of a Kelleher.
Yeah, it was an error.
Fumble more than a great
shot. But
equally,
we then don't get a shot off for the next 4 minutes. Yeah. And it's like, we've just seen the keeper spill something. And I love Kevin Kelleher. But He's under pressure. He's made mistakes in the games he played this season. There is a lot on the line right now for him in terms of, being able to get there. You're like, pepper him. Now, I'm not saying get the ball on the halfway line, Harrison Reed, and shoot.
Yeah.
But the opportunities to take a strike were there, and they weren't taken a lot of the time. Now, I appreciate we're trying to work the ball into the box, make those things happen, fine, no problem. But there was an element of like, oh, can we just try and expose that a little bit more, considering what we've just seen him do?